Hello everyone. It's James again. And before I start today's video, I just want to quickly say, all work in this video contains 100% original content of and by myself James Smith, otherwise known as Bgood 4000, and was uniquely created with NAWMAL software, by myself James Smith. As I purchased commercial rights from NAWMAL to produce my unique and original video with this software. Commentary is uniquely my own thoughts, feelings, and expressions. Now that I have that out of the way, I do hope your day is going way better than fantastic. And a thank you to all that are commenting and supporting the work of this channel. You see, the old days on this platform for many of us made us feel as if there was going to be hope that our message would get out there for many to see and hear. But then a lot of changes happened that made it more difficult for that message to get out. At least for some of us content creators. But we are still here. And we are still pushing along. And what seems to have happened is more and more people are creating content and telling their stories. Back when I first started my channel, there weren't many of us. I mean, you could almost count us on one hand. Now there are lots of content creators, telling their stories and sharing their experiences. And it's sparking a light in many that grew up in a narcissistically abusive home. And or those with so-called friends that are narcissists, or people they were dating or married to that are narcissists. And even people they work with. And it's this information that lets many of you know that you aren't alone. But it appears that more work needs to be done. Because there are still many getting caught in the web of these evil beings. You see, I've been following the Shankella Robinson story. And I haven't said much about it. Because I want to see all of the facts. However, if it's looking like what most of us think happened, it should give many people room to pause and think about who we share and spend our time with. And who we call friends. And for those of you that don't know, this is a woman that went down to Mexico for a vacation with some of her so-called friends. And her life was sadly taken from her. And these so-called friends called her mother and said Shankella had alcohol poisoning. But the medical examiner said she was beaten and her neck was broken. And now there is video of one of these so-called friends beating Shankella without mercy. While the other so-called friends either did nothing from what it appears, or told Shankella to fight back. And this really hit home for me. Because I remember as a teenager, I had a so-called friend that I now look back on and I've realized now for some time. He was likely a narcissist or worse. We both grew up in dysfunctional homes. And both shared some of the same hobbies and likes. But it seemed that he would take verbal jabs at me in front of others. And had a strange envy towards me that I didn't understand. When he seemed to have something nice happen for him, I was extremely happy. But when something nice happened for me, he might fake being happy at first, but later would try to do something to take away that happy feeling. I just thought that maybe if I'm more nice to this guy, he will see I'm his true friend. But it sadly never worked. But then we would have a really great time doing something. And I would think, he finally gets it. And then my worry would go away. And as soon as things would be comfortable in our friendship, we would go somewhere or he would invite me somewhere, where it almost seemed like clockwork. I was put in a situation where my life would be endangered. One night I was beaten severely, much like Shankella, by people that knew this so-called friend. And then later on this so-called friend showed up pretending to be upset and concerned about me. And let me tell you what saved me. Because I was being beat by 6 or 7 people. Some of them hitting me with objects. What saved me was I just tucked my chin down, covered my head, and curled up in a ball. At first when it all happened, it seemed like, where did this come from type of a thing. And I actually believe this so-called friend was concerned. But it seemed like any time something bad happened to me, I was with this guy. And when I went no contact, and then many years later learned about narcissism, I realized. These bad things weren't by accident more than likely. I can't prove it. Because it was years ago. And the honest truth is I never want to see him again. But narcissists are very envious people. Very envious. And this is something I've mentioned before. Sam Vaknin has made a video saying that narcissists don't select people because they are special. Or this or that. And that he was a bit disturbed by some of the content creators on this kick about you're special, that's why the narcissist picked you. And that he doesn't believe that to be true. And while yes, narcissist will pick anyone to get supply from, they will pick another narcissist if they have to. Which can be very common. It's not unusual to see a narcissist couple, where one is the covert puppet master, and the other is the impulsive, not so smart overt narcissist. However, I've seen it more times than I can count where narcissists go after people that have something inside of them or outside of them for that matter that the narcissist doesn't have. Or they might appear to have everything going for them too. Meaning you both could have great jobs and are great looking. And all of a sudden you meet someone nice that you are now dating. And they will be literally envious of your happiness. Why? Because narcissists don't and won't experience true joy and true love. I mean, here you are. Good looking. Great job. And you are genuinely in love. How dare you? How dare you? And even if they are great looking too and they also have a great job, you just created a narcissistic injury in them and they must make you pay. Now one would think that in a great many cases narcissists won't resort to physically harming you. But you need to really rethink this. A narcissist might lure you in a place where others can harm you. Or they might purposely cause a situation where you will have to defend them against others. So there is an increased risk to your safety. Why? Because it gives them narcissistic supply. And likely you created a narcissistic injury by just you being you. It seems like Shankella Robinson had a lot going for her. And she was a very, very pretty woman. So much so. And I say this with being polite. Her so-called friends couldn't hold a candle to her. And I'm not saying that in a way that say looks matter or any of that. I'm just stating the obvious. When you look at pictures of Shankella Robinson and her so-called friends, she's the one that stands out the most. She's the one that stands out the most. And if what we think happened happened, and I know we have to wait for all of the facts, Shankella Robinson might be the type that a narcissist friend might be highly envious over. Now we don't know all of the details. There could have been situations of jealousy. Maybe a guy liked Shankella Robinson but didn't like her friend. Who knows? Who knows? But the way it appeared she was attacked gave me flashbacks on how I was lured. Or how I felt I was lured to a certain location. Then I was attacked. And there are many people this has happened to. This type of dynamic has been around for a long time. But this is why when you hear about people that do motivational speaking, when they say, get away from negative people, they are right. You know, we try not to be too sensitive. And hey, a good joke is okay. We should be able to laugh at ourselves. But to what extent? To what extent? You know, I love joking around with people. But for the most part, I had in my mind, I can't say that. Because that would really hurt them. And you probably were and are the same way too. But if someone is saying things that really dig at your core, you have to understand and know. They know it digs at your core. And they don't care and they think it's funny. And they think you aren't very bright for hanging out with them. And the more you hang out with them, the more they dish it out. We have to learn those instincts to know when certain people are literally wrong for our lives. Speaking of which, there was a story I just heard about. And I don't have much details on it at all. But from what I heard, there was a young boy in a judo class that was slammed so many times at the alleged orders of his instructor, that his life was taken. And the few people speculating about this situation, they said, it's entirely possible this young boy went along with it because he didn't want to upset the class and didn't want to seem weak. So forth and so on. And this is a skill we have to teach people early on. To walk away. There are some evil, and I do mean evil people on this earth. Just like there are loving people. And it's okay to walk away and don't care about what they think about you. Because these people don't have love or light and empathy. Which brings me to my last point. I was speaking with an elderly couple the other day while at the store. And they both told me they hold each other up with love. The wife said there are times she has to take care of her husband. And the husband said there are times he has to take care of his wife. Life isn't easy for them financially. But they thank God they have one another. They thank God they have one another. And this is a message I wish I could spread far and wide. Forget this superficial mess that is being preached by this guru and that guru. If you don't have this amount of money, you aren't worth anything nonsense. And to date and discard and date and discard. God gave us each other as a gift. For us to hold each other up. So much darkness is on this earth is because many have walked away from God. And they have walked away from the gift God has given us. And that is someone that sincerely loves you. And has it ever occurred to you? He gave you someone that loved you that had no money on purpose? You see. God doesn't want to have people love him simply because he can perform a miracle you can see. However, he wants you to love him because you love him. Willingly and unconditionally. Then he gives you the gift of love. And many throw that gift away because in their words, it's not good enough. How do you think that makes God feel? I just pray more people start to wake up and hang on to God tight. And hang on to those that truly love them. Those that God gave to you as a gift. But remember, narcissists are envious of this gift. And they are doing everything they can to keep loving people away and apart from one another so they can't form a bond and or connection. So they can't experience the life that God truly wants for them. Yes. Narcissists can pick someone randomly. But they also prefer to pick someone that is indeed special. And they love to see someone special crumble and fall. And lose. So let's keep spreading the word. And I'm interested to see how things turn out with the Shankella Robinson case. My prayers are with her family. I pray God gives them comfort and peace. With that said, I do hope your day is blessed. And until next time. Bye for now. And be good to yourself.